I got back to the office flying high. A week on the road, pitching safety upgrades. And I finally landed the funding we'd been chasing for 3 damn years. Elevators, platform sensors, fire exits. All greenlit. I hit the elevator with that full-body buzz of momentum, tapped my keycard, and stepped into our floor like I owned the place. And stopped cold. Our space was empty. I don't mean quiet, I mean empty. No desks, no monitors, no whiteboard with our inspection map. Even the coffee machine, the one we all chipped in for after Rydell cut the break room budget, was gone. What the hell? I spun around, heart starting to race, trying to make sense of it. The windows were still open like they always were, just facing out over nothing now. Not a chair in sight. The place looked like a staged apartment someone forgot to finish. I stormed past the elevators and spotted Teresa from HR slipping into the copy room. She saw me and froze like I'd caught her stealing. "Hey," I barked. "Where's my team?" Her eyes darted to the hallway, then back to me. "Oh, yeah, that happened fast. They were relocated. Temporarily." "Temporarily where?" She hesitated. "Parking garage level. That wasn't a floor. That was a warning." I didn't wait for more. I took the stairs, 2 at a time, all the way down to P2. The smell hit me first, damp concrete and microwave dinners. The hallway lights were dim, one flickering over an old sign that said Storage B. I turned the corner and found them. My entire team was jammed into a makeshift space next to a rusty old break room fridge. Hanging wires overhead, folding tables, 3 laptops between 7 people, and 0 windows. Someone had dragged a fan over, but it wasn't doing much. Everyone looked up when I walked in, like they weren't sure if they should stand or apologize. "What is this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Ren stepped forward. "Rydell moved us. Said they needed our space for a new consultant. Happened while you were gone, under an hour." "A consultant?" "Yeah, some guy with a fresh vision for transit operations." Nobody said anything after that. I looked around at the people who'd worked double shifts during outages, who'd pulled weekend audits on ancient city wiring, now shoved next to a damn utility closet like we were trash. I didn't sit down, I just nodded once, slow, then turned back toward the stairs. We weren't just relocated, we were erased. I hit the stairs hard, 2 at a time, all the way back up to our old floor. My legs were burning, but I didn't stop. I needed to see it for myself. When I got there, the answer was already waiting. Some smug kid was standing in the middle of our old workspace, hanging up a giant laminated poster of a mountain peak with "Think Forward" slapped across it in bold blue letters. He looked like a college motivational speaker. Gelled hair, fake tan. One of those fitted button-downs that scream, "I read one leadership book once." The kind of guy who called meetings, touch points, and problems opportunities. He was mid-stretch with the tape when he noticed me. "You must be the inspection lead," he said, flashing me a smile like I should be impressed. "Chase, I'm the new transit operations consultant." I didn't shake his hand. Rydell stepped out of his office like a puppy who heard someone jingle a treat bag. "You're back. Good timing. Chase is setting up. He's got a phenomenal track record with transit optimization. Metrics through the roof." He waved his hand toward the posters. There were 3 more stacked on a nearby desk. "He's been doing seminars on YouTube, real thought leadership. Just a fresh set of eyes, you know." I stared at him. "And where's my team supposed to work?" Rydell's smile barely dipped. "They'll make do downstairs for a little while. We're rethinking the space strategy. Nothing permanent." "You stuffed them next to a fridge." "Just a temporary inconvenience," he said, brushing it off. "This is the start of something transformative." I didn't answer. I turned and left without another word. Back in the garage, the team was right where I left them, hunched over laptops, chewing through reports like it still mattered. I shut the door behind me. "All right, new plan," I said, loud enough to cut through the fan. "Starting today, we archive everything." Ren looked up, squinting. "Everything as in everything. Current reports, past audits, project timelines, contractor contacts, vendor evaluations. I want it all documented and backed up to local drives. Nothing cloud-based. And do it quiet." A couple of them exchanged glances. Nobody asked why. "We're not getting that floor back," I said. "Not while that guy's hanging posters." "What's happening?" Dax asked. He rarely spoke, but when he did, people listened. "We're not waiting around to be pushed further out. Just trust me, if we're gonna move, we move on our own terms." They nodded. No arguments. I pulled over a crate, sat, and started laying out folders. "There's something else," I said after a beat. I wasn't always in city planning. Heads turned. Spent 20 years in disaster zones. Haiti, Indonesia, post-Katrina, Mississippi. Managed field logistics, supply lines, base camps. You know what I learned? You don't build a way out once you're already buried. "Wait," Ren said, brow furrowed. "You were relief?" "Yeah, and I know how to move people without setting off alarms. So from this point on, we document, we clean, and we prep. You don't need to know what's next, just that there is a next." They didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then they got up. No hesitation. The sounds of chairs shifting, fingers hitting keys, drawers opening. It was quiet, but it was motion. Not panic. Purpose. Chase had his posters. We had our backup plan. And I wasn't done yet. The next 2 weeks were hell. The overhead lights buzzed and flickered like we were stuck in a horror movie. There were bugs. Tiny ones that crawled out of the baseboards and into our binders. The cell signal was garbage, so we had to run files up to the lobby just to send emails. And every time someone used the break room microwave, the power dipped like we were about to lose the whole grid. But the team held the line. I kept pushing the same message. Document everything. Not just what we were working on, but every damn thing we'd touched over the last 5 years. Project notes, site photos, safety assessments, internal memos. The stuff nobody remembers until something explodes. No complaints, no pushback. Just quiet grind. Then the call came. I was hunched over a box of archived repair logs when my phone buzzed with a number from City Hall. It was someone from the commissioner's office, Glader's people. They wanted me to speak at the next public forum, highlight our department's work and future plans. I kept my voice calm, said I'd be there, but inside, I felt that fire hit again. After weeks in the dark, someone saw us. The morning of the event, I walked in wearing my only suit. It was beat to hell but clean. I had my notes, 3 printed copies of our overview, and a slide deck ready on a flash drive. I made it 10 feet past security before Rydell flagged me down like we were friends. "Hey, good news," he said, grinning like an idiot. "Chase is gonna handle the presentation. Fresh face, little more audience-friendly, you know?" I didn't move. That wasn't the deal. "Relax, you'll still get mentioned. We just thought a broader voice made more sense today." I stared at him. Then I turned around and walked out. Back in the garage, I didn't have to say anything. They saw my face and knew. Ren slammed her laptop shut. "I'm done." She wasn't being dramatic. Her resignation letter was already half written on the screen. She'd given this place 7 years. Audits, code rewrites, late nights during power failures. And they'd just erased her name from the one moment that mattered. Nobody spoke for a while. Then around 2 that afternoon, I heard footsteps pounding down the stairs. It was Dax, phone in hand. "He bombed," he said, breathless. "Chase, froze on question 2. Didn't know what retrograde field tests were. Then tried to pivot to micromobility stats from San Diego." I didn't smile, not in front of them. But I stood up, straightened my sleeves, and started stacking files. That night, Rydell finally slithered down. He looked like he hadn't slept. Shirt wrinkled, hair out of place, sweat beading on his lip. "Hey, so, look, rough day," he muttered. "But I've got a spot for you. Back building, west side. It's not bad. Will be renovated soon. Better than this, right?" He tried to sell it like he was offering beachfront property. I gave him a long look, then smiled. "Thanks, that's real generous." He nodded, like he thought he'd won something, and turned to leave. I waited until he hit the stairs before I sat back down. That was his first crack, and I knew exactly where to aim next. The next morning, I had Marty walk in with me. Clipboard in hand, hard hat slung low, plain navy blazer. She looked like any other facilities inspector on a compliance loop. That was the plan. Just another set of eyes on the soon-to-be renovated dump. Rydell tossed our team in 2. We timed it perfectly. We were halfway down the second-floor corridor when we heard Chase holding court. Voices echoed from the open conference room. City stakeholders, maybe some private partners, all seated while Golden Boy ran his mouth. At my last agency, we cut inspection delays by 30% in under 6 months. And before that, I led the change at 2 others. Full digital transition, legacy systems out, modern tools in. Marty slowed her step. She turned her head toward the sound but didn't stop walking. 3 agencies? She asked casually. Chase turned, halfway through another slide. That's right, full scope reform. Marty walked in, calm as ever. Which agencies? He blinked. DC, St. Paul, and East River Metro. Marty nodded once, then looked straight at the stakeholders. I sit on the board at East River Metro. Silence. She stepped forward. You weren't promoted, you were removed. For falsifying progress reports and misrepresenting budget projections to the Grant Review Board. Chase opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I reviewed the audit myself, she added. It wasn't close. The room went still. You could hear the HVAC hum. That's when I stepped in. Oh, right. Forgot to mention, Marty's not just here for a walkthrough. Everyone turned. She's the Deputy Director of Regional Planning, I said. And as of this morning, she's hired me to lead a new division. Rydell, standing in the back, finally moved. Excuse me, I faced him. I'm taking my team with me. His eyes snapped to Marty. You can't just... She cut him off. They're not under contract. He turned back to me, voice climbing. This is poaching. You're under my department. We're not, I said flatly. No restrictive clauses, no binding terms. You shoved us into a garage and left us there. That's not leadership. That's abandonment. Rydell's face was flushing now. This'll escalate. You know that? I'll take this straight to the commissioner. Go ahead, I said. But make sure you lead with how you let a fraud run your strategy while we worked under exposed wiring. He looked around the room, desperate for someone to back him up. Nobody moved. One of the stakeholders even lowered his gaze. Chase didn't say a word. He just stared at the floor, hands clenched behind his back like he was waiting for detention to end. Marty turned to me. Let's give your team the news. We walked out together, calm, collected. Rydell didn't follow. He just stood there, jaw tight, trying to figure out how the floor had dropped out from under him. We hit the stairwell, and I could already feel it shifting. Momentum, power, the energy in the room. We weren't stuck in survival mode anymore. Now we were moving. We hit the bottom of the stairwell, walked the last few steps into the garage space, and I didn't wait. Drop what you're doing, I said. We're done here. Everyone froze. Ren looked up first, brow furrowed. What do you mean, done? Marty stood beside me, arms crossed, waiting. I stepped forward, letting it hit. We all have offers. Starting today, from regional planning. Double your salaries, real desks, natural light. No mold, no exposed wires. No chase. Silence. For half a beat, nobody reacted. Then I saw it land. Ren blinked, mouth open, like she didn't quite believe it. Dax leaned back in his chair, just staring at the ceiling. Bren's hand went to her mouth, and she let out this breath that was half laugh, half sob. Wait, Ren said again. You're serious? I nodded. Marty's offering us full placement, lateral roles if you want 'em, or promotions if you're ready. Every one of you, not one person left behind. For a moment, it was just noise. Chairs sliding, a few gasps, someone whispering, "Oh my God," under their breath. Then came the tears. Quiet ones. No sobbing, no dramatic breakdowns, just relief. The kind you only see after too many months of being pushed to the edge. I don't understand, Bren said finally. How'd you even pull this off? I leaned against the table, arms folded. This didn't come together in a week. I started planting seeds the day Rydell was hired. Dax looked over. That long? Long enough. I saw it early. The glossy reports, the outside consultants, the sudden budget reshuffles. We were never part of his vision. We weren't flashy enough for the brochures. Ren narrowed her eyes. You knew he'd cut us out. I knew he'd try, so I made sure we had options when he did. They let that sit for a second. Then Dax cleared his throat. So what now, he asked. We walk away, celebrate, that's it. I caught his tone, calm but sharp, focused. You think this is just an exit plan, he added. I didn't answer right away. I looked around at the mess. Cables, old monitors, files still half-boxed. All of it screaming neglect. We wrap this clean, I said. No mess, no loose ends. We leave behind perfect documentation, every wire labeled, every record in order. If they want to pretend we never mattered, they won't be able to without tripping over the work we did. And after that, Dax asked. I smiled, just barely. Let's finish the job first. He nodded once, didn't push, but I could feel it, the energy shifting again. We weren't just a team anymore, we were a unit, tight, aligned. And while they packed up the garage, I was already working out my next move. By day 3, the space looked like a control center disguised as a basement. Every file sorted, tagged, backed up on mirrored drives. Every system mapped. We even logged the HVAC irregularities, just in case someone wanted to know why half the lighting grid down there blinked like a dying motel sign. No complaints from the team. Just heads down, sleeves rolled up, focused. This wasn't cleanup. This was exit prep at military precision. Around noon, the door creaked open. Rydell stepped in, and he looked like death warmed over. Eyes bloodshot, collar askew, a half-shaved neck like he'd been interrupted mid-breakdown. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there like he couldn't believe we still existed. Then he cleared his throat. I talked to finance, he started. We can authorize a 15% raise, immediately, plus early access to the new space. We'll prioritize the renovation. You'll have it by end of quarter. Nobody moved. Nobody even looked up. I stood from the box I was labeling and wiped my hands on my pants. Appreciate the offer, I said. But we've already signed with Marty. His jaw clenched. You don't have to do this. We can fix it. There's nothing to fix. We made our call. It's done. His voice cracked, just slightly. If you walk, I'm done. This torpedoes my career. Do you understand that? I do. He took a step closer. I brought in Chase because I was told we needed a forward presence, not because I didn't respect the work. You moved us into a moldy basement without warning. That wasn't about presence. That was a message. He looked away like he couldn't face it. I didn't think it would go this far, he mumbled. No one ever does, until it does. He didn't speak again, just stood there, shoulders sagging like someone pulled the air out of him. Then he turned and left, slow steps echoing behind him like the whole weight finally landed. The door clicked shut. I sat back down, pulled another folder from the crate. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, I answered. This is Commissioner Glader, the voice said. No small talk, no smile. Just her name and silence. Afternoon, Commissioner. I'd like to speak with you, alone, today. My pulse jumped, but I kept my tone flat. Where? Downtown Municipal, my office, 30 minutes. I'll be there, she hung up. I stood, grabbed my jacket off the chair. Wren looked over. Everything all right? Commissioner wants a word, she raised an eyebrow. Marty, no? Doubt it. The team glanced up now, curious, but I didn't give them more. I walked out with a nod, steady pace, steady breath. Whatever was waiting downtown, it wasn't a thank you. 30 minutes later, I was sitting across from Commissioner Glader in her corner office downtown. Wide windows, no personal photos, not even a coat on the back of her chair. Just clean lines and control. She didn't ask if I wanted coffee, didn't offer a seat. Just motioned once, then sat down and got right to it. I've reviewed your department's records, she said. 5 years of continuous project delivery, consistently under budget, highest safety compliance rate in the district. So explain to me, why are you walking? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. It's not about the space, I said, or the budget, or the location. Then what? It's about being erased. 1 week I'm landing infrastructure funding. The next my team's relocated like we're storage. Not one conversation, not one heads up, just gone. She didn't blink, just nodded once, like she'd already heard that answer in her head. I see, she said. Then she reached into her desk drawer and slid a folder across the table. I opened it. Draft contract. My name already filled in. Title, Director of Inspections and Infrastructure Strategy. Reporting line, directly to Commissioner Glader. I flipped a page. Salary bump. Dedicated office space. Build your own team. Unlimited contractor access. It was everything Marty had offered, and more. She folded her hands on the table. I want you to form a new inspections division under my office. Autonomous, clean slate, no riddle, no middle management. And Marty, I asked carefully. Glader gave a tight smile. Marty used to work here, left after a difference in direction. You know how that goes. I leaned back. So this isn't just about talent. No, she said flatly. It's about realignment. Rydell made a mess. Marty made a move. Your leverage. There it was. No games, no dressing it up. You're not just hiring me, I said. You're playing chess. Everyone in this building is. The only question is whether you want to be a pawn or a queen. I closed the folder and tapped a finger on the edge. This changes things. Good. I need time, I said. This isn't just me. I have a team. They'll be covered. Pick your people, set the structure. Just don't take too long. If Marty moves first, this window closes. I stood. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. She gave a nod. You've got 30 hours. I walked out with the folder in hand, pulse steady, head spinning. On paper, it was a dream job. But this wasn't paper. It was politics. I was being dropped in the middle of a fight that started long before Rydell ever got a keycard. As I hit the elevator, one thing was already clear. The exit plan just turned into something way bigger. I laid the folder on the center table back in the garage. Everyone gathered around. No delay, no small talk. Commissioner Glader just offered me a direct role under her office, I said. Full control of a new inspections division. Better resources, bigger budget, total autonomy, no more riddle. The reaction wasn't silence this time. It was chaos. Ren stood up first. Wait, what? She wants to keep us in the system. Dax crossed his arms. And just like that, we forget Marty? After everything? Bren looked at me. Is this real? Or are we trading one boss for another? I raised both hands. I didn't say yes. I told her I'd talk to you first. Feels like a setup, Ren said. Like they just want to split us off and kill Marty's project from the inside. They're both playing the board, I said. That's obvious. Then why entertain it, Dax snapped. We had a plan. Because this isn't about escape anymore, I said. It's about leverage. They paused, uneasy. I let it settle, then offered what I'd already decided during the elevator ride back. There's a third option. That got their attention. We split, I said. Half go with Marty. Half go with me under the commissioner. 2 divisions, coordinated, aligned, strategic. We share systems, information, workflows. No silos, no secrets. We stay connected. We hold the leverage. You want us to divide? Bren asked. No, I want us to expand. Nobody spoke at first. Then Ren exhaled. So we're, what, a cross-agency unit? Exactly, the first of its kind in the region. Both sides benefit. If one gets targeted, the other holds position. Dax tapped the table. And we get to decide who goes where? Yes, no pressure, no guilt. The mood shifted. Not instantly, but it moved. I could see it in how they looked at each other. In the quiet nods, the half smiles, the way Bren started pacing like she was already thinking through logistics. The doubt didn't vanish, but it got replaced with something stronger. Possibility. We weren't being dragged around anymore. We were designing the damn map. All right, Ren said finally. I'll go with Marty. Dax? I asked. He nodded slowly. I'll stay with the city. I want to see if they're serious. I stepped outside and made the calls. Marty picked up first. You're splitting the team? Yes, half each, but coordinated. A pause. Then, I'm in. I dialed Glader. She answered on the first ring. New structure, I said. Shared oversight, aligned mission, 2 agencies. Another pause. Then she said, Interesting. Can you make that work? I can, if you keep it clean. It'll be clean. By nightfall, it was done. The first cross-agency planning alliance in city history. Half reporting to regional, half to central, but all one unit underneath. We didn't even have a name for it yet. Didn't need one. We knew what it was. I sat down at my desk to start drafting the coordination protocol when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no message. Just a single line of text. Board meeting moved to tomorrow, 9 a.m. No sender, no context, just the timing. I locked the screen and stood up. Final play was coming. The next morning, we walked into City Hall with formal board invites in hand. Not one of us wore our usual field clothes, suits, binders. Ready, we moved as a unit, half Martys, half Gladers. One team, two colors. It got quiet when we entered. Rydell was already mid-pitch. Realignment of field operations, optimized data tracking, and early results from our transit consultants' metrics show a projected 15% improvement in inspection turnaround. He stood beside Chase, who wore that same smug smirk from day one, nodding like this was his TED Talk debut. Then Glader raised her hand. "Before we continue," she said, "can you explain the basement relocation?" Rydell blinked. "Sorry?" "The inspection team," she said. "You moved them to a garage. Why?" He coughed once, shuffled his notes. "That was an interim adjustment, temporary, part of the long-term space strategy." "Documented anywhere?" she asked. He hesitated. "Not formally." I stepped forward. "We'd like to present a response." The board chair looked between us, then nodded. My team fanned out. Each board member got a binder, neat, tabbed, backed with signatures and timestamps. We didn't waste a second. Ren stepped up first. Performance audits from the last 5 years, inspection routes, emergency responses, compliance tracking, all documented. Dax followed. "This binder shows how our team handled infrastructure failures during last year's heat wave. No coverage from ops, no press, just boots and tools." I held up the final binder. "This one's the important one. It outlines resource reallocations, cutbacks, and the conditions we've worked under since the transition, the garage included." Several board members started flipping through fast, eyes scanning, faces tightening. Then I turned toward Chase. "And since your consultant is driving the new direction," I said, "we pulled his professional record too." I nodded at Bren. She stepped forward and handed out a single-page sheet. "Public records," I said. "Lawsuits filed for breach of contract, misrepresentation of data, faked case studies listed on resumes, verifiable with 3 phone calls." Chase didn't speak, didn't blink. He just froze. A woman from the finance subcommittee dropped her pen. Rydell stepped forward, sweating. This is out of context." "No," I said. "This is what you ignored when you cleared out a functioning team for a guy who sells buzzwords." Silence. Then I took a breath and delivered the closer. "We're not asking to be reinstated. We've already moved on. Half of us now operate under Commissioner Glader, half under Marty Salas at Regional Planning. What we've built is the first cross-agency inspection alliance in the region. Data sharing, aligned priorities, scalable across cities." That landed. One of the board members leaned forward. "This model's already active." "Yes, as of yesterday." Another glanced at Glader, then at Marty, seated in the back. Neither of them said a word. They didn't need to. The chair cleared her throat. "We'll call a closed session." An assistant appeared. "You're all excused for now." We stood, gathered our things. Rydell didn't move. As I passed him, he leaned in. This was all premeditated. I met his eyes and smiled. "No," I said. "You started this the day you put us in that garage." Then I walked out. We didn't make it back to the office before the call came in. It was Glader. "Rydell's out," she said. "Chase too, effective immediately." I didn't say anything, just waited. "The board approved your model," she added. "You're being offered full oversight of the city's new inspection strategy. You'll lead it in coordination with Marty." "Understood," I said. "We'll talk tomorrow. Rest tonight." She hung up. I looked at the team, all still in the lobby, pacing, rehashing every second of the meeting like it was a playoff game. I held up my phone. "They're gone," I said. "And we're in." No one cheered at first. It hit slow, like their brains needed a second to believe it. Then the noise started. Sharp laughs, quick hugs, someone dropping their binder and just yelling, "Holy hell!" We didn't go back to the garage. We went to Clyde's, 2 blocks over. Cheap burgers, torn booths, a jukebox that only played classic rock. No reservations, no hierarchy. Ren slid into the booth across from me, beer in hand. "So, this real?" "Yeah," I said. "It's real." Bren leaned in. "You planned all this?" I shrugged. "I planned enough." Dax nodded slowly. "This wasn't just about getting out, was it?" I met his eyes. "No, it was about building something that couldn't be dismissed again, not by anyone." They all went quiet for a second. Then Wren raised her glass. To basements, she said, and never going back. We toasted. 6 months later, we were spread across 2 agencies, 2 buildings, 3 cities watching us closely. Our cross-agency model was already being studied, not just for transit, but for housing, emergency response, sanitation. We had windows now, chairs that didn't creak, teams that got copied on emails. No one second-guessed our numbers. No one cut us out of meetings. No one handed us a duct-taped fan and told us to make it work. The best revenge wasn't payback. It was making the old system so irrelevant, nobody ever asked about it again.